Hunger evolved. 40 weird ways to feed. I collect hungers. Not my own. Theirs. I've always been drawn to the wrong question at dinner tables. People ask what an animal eats. I ask how. Because the world is full of mouths that refuse to behave like mouths. Stomachs that take walks outside bodies. Tongues that turn into harpoons, nets, lassos, glue guns.
Traps that think.
Hunger, it turns out, is where evolution gets most creative. So, I started a list. Not the biggest or bloodiest. The strangest. 40 ways life decided to cheat at the problem of eating. The ones that made me close my notebook, stare at a wall, and think, that shouldn't work, but it does. This is that list. All of it.
No breaks. No chapters.
Just one long walk through 40 impossible appetites. 1. The slime sniper. Velvet worm. I found it under a log where the air smelled like wet bark and old secrets. It looked soft, a caterpillar with too many legs and no urgency. Then it hunted.
No chase.
It raised its head and fired. 2 jets of liquid shot from nozzles by its mouth. The fluid hardens on contact, turning into biological crime scene tape. The cricket it hit was welded to the leaf mid-jump. The worm strolled over, bit a hole in the armor, and injected saliva that liquefies insides. Then it drank. A predator that manufactures its own net, its own straw, and its own soup. I wrote unfair in my margin and meant it as a compliment. 2. The living lantern. Deep sea anglerfish. Darkness rewrites rules. Where light gave up, one fish became the bait. From her forehead grows a spine that ends in a glowing bulb, a pouch of bacteria that make their own blue fire. She dangles it in the void. Everything down there is curious and starving. Something drifts closer to see. Then the dark behind the light unhinges. A mouth wider than sense. Teeth like prison bars angled in. The male anglerfish doesn't hunt at all. He finds her, bites, and fuses. His body dissolves until he's just a pair of testes hitched to her side, fed by her blood. Even their love story is parasitism. I drew a small asterisk next to this one. It felt required. 3. The venom harpoon. Cone snail. Tide pools lie. They look gentle. I watched one ripple and saw a shell. Perfect geometry, brown and white. A goby flicked past. The snail didn't move. From its snout came a proboscis, and from that, a tooth. Not a tooth for chewing. A harpoon, loaded with venom that shuts down nerves faster than you can flinch. The fish stiffened. The snail reeled it in, stretched its mouth around the whole body, and swallowed. An hour later it spat out the bones, clean. A mollusk running a better weapons program than most navies. The ocean isn't peaceful. It's patient. 4. The knot of slime. Hagfish. Some things don't kill. They inherit. The hagfish slips into carcasses through the gills, the mouth, any wound. Inside, it ties its own body into a knot and rams that knot against flesh. The leverage lets its toothplate tongue rasp meat off bone. While it eats, it makes slime. Gallons. Enough to clog the gills of any shark stupid enough to bite it. It's a scavenger, but it eats from the inside out so nothing fights back. A locksmith that picked evolution's back door. 5. The bubble architects. Humpback whales. Size can be precise. A pod swims in a tightening spiral, blowing air. The bubbles rise and form a net, a cylinder that schooling herring won't cross. The fish panic, ball together, silver and terrified. The whales, each 30 tons of coordinated intention, lunge up through the center. Their pleated throats balloon, taking 15,000 gallons of ocean and fish in one gulp. They press the water out through baleen, keep the fish, release the sea. They built a tool from breath. They teach it to their calves. Hunger with a curriculum. 6. The fist of water. Mantis shrimp. It punches. But punch is an insult to physics. Its club accelerates like a bullet, moving so fast it boils the water. The cavitation bubble collapses with a flash of light and a crack louder than a gunshot. The shockwave alone can stun or kill. Crabs crack. Aquarium glass shatters. Then, with delicate spears, it picks meat from the wreckage. a boxer who moonlights as a surgeon. I saw one break a scientist's finger through a tank. The scientist called it unfortunate. I called it honest. 7. The tongue that's longer than life. Chameleon. I thought tongues were for tasting. Then I saw one hunt. The chameleon stays still. Only the eyes move, independently, tracking. When it decides, the tongue launches. Muscle, bone, and elastic tissue fire it out to twice the body length in 0.07 seconds. The tip is a ball of mucus and muscle that sticks and suctions. The prey is reeled in before it understands motion happened. The whole thing is a biological crossbow kept in the mouth. I started checking ceilings after that. 8. The trapdoor philosopher. Trapdoor spider. It digs a cylinder in the earth and roofs it with silk and dirt, a door with a hinge. Then it waits. Days. Weeks. Legs on tripwires. When something walks over, the door flings open, fangs come out, and the thing is dragged down before dust settles. It eats in private. The door closes. The forest forgets. Ambush as architecture. I respect the patience more than the kill. 9. The stomach that hunts. Sea star. It doesn't fit prey in its mouth. It brings its stomach to the prey. A sea star hauls itself over a clam, grips the shell with hundreds of tube feet, and pulls. Hours sometimes. When the clam fatigues and opens a millimeter, the sea star everts its stomach, pushes it out through its mouth, into the crack. It releases enzymes, digests the clam in its own shell, then reels its stomach back in full. It turned eating inside out. Literally. 10. The fungus farmer. Leafcutter ant. They don't eat leaves. They eat what eats the leaves. Scouts cut pieces, bigger than their bodies, and carry them like green flags through the jungle. Underground, the leaves are chewed to mulch and fed to a fungus. The colony eats the fungus. They weed it, fertilize it, protect it with antibiotics they make on their bodies. Agriculture. Without a sun, they beat us to farming by 50 million years. I think about that when I order salad. 11. The electric face. Electric eel. It's not an eel, and it hunts by making lightning. 3 organs run the length of its body, and they're batteries. It releases a low pulse to map the world. Living radar. When it finds a fish, it fires a high-voltage volley, 600 volts, that seizes muscles and makes the fish twitch. The twitch gives away its position. The eel curls, traps the fish between its head and tail, and shocks again, harder. The fish is stunned. The eel inhales. It's a hunter that tasers the water and listens for the spasm. 12. The spitting archer. Archerfish. It looks up. We look down. It wins. The archerfish tracks insects on branches above the river. It presses its tongue to the roof of its mouth, forms a tube, and spits. The water jet, shaped by physics the fish doesn't study but uses, nails the bug and knocks it down. The fish is moving before the bug hits water. It accounts for light bending at the surface. It shoots where the bug will be in refracted space. Ballistics, with no hands. I missed my mouth with a straw for a week after learning that. 13. The blood-only diet. Vampire bat. It finds you by hearing your breath and smelling your heat. It lands light, makes a small cut with teeth sharp enough that you don't feel it, and laps. Its saliva has an anticoagulant named after it, Draculin. It keeps the blood flowing. If it doesn't feed for 2 nights, it dies. So bats share. They vomit blood into the mouths of roostmates who failed. Reciprocal altruism, with a liquid currency. Hunger that built kindness. 14. The suction bullet. Frogfish. It looks like a sponge that lost a fight. It doesn't chase. It fishes. From its face grows a lure it jiggles like a shrimp. When something bites, the frogfish opens its mouth so fast it doesn't suck water in. It expands its mouth so violently that the water and the prey are pushed in. The strike takes 6 milliseconds. Faster than I can blink. One moment there's a fish. The next, a slightly fatter sponge. No drama. Just physics and a lack of jaw. 15. The web you wear. Bola spider. It doesn't build a web. It builds a weapon. At night it makes a single silk line with a sticky glob at the end, a bolus. Then it releases chemicals that mimic the sex pheromone of a certain moth. Male moths fly in, expecting love. The spider swings the bolus and snags one midair. One line, one bead of glue, one lie. I sat with that one for a long time. Hunger that learned to flirt. 16. The tongue harpoon, again woodpecker. It drums its face into wood at 20 times per second. To not die, its skull is a shock absorber. But eating is stranger. Its tongue is so long it wraps around the skull, anchoring near the nostril. It shoots into holes, and the tip is barbed and sticky. It spears grubs or drags them out. A tongue that starts in the nose and ends in a spear. I touch my own tongue now and feel underqualified. 17. The stomach spear. Gannet. It folds itself into a dart and falls. From 100 feet up, a gannet hits the water at 60 miles per hour. Air sacs in its face and chest cushion the impact. It stabs through the surface, grabs a fish, and swallows it before momentum stops. It hunts by becoming a meteor. I watched a video and held my breath until it surfaced. I lost. 18. The ant mimic. Ant mimicking spider. It looks like an ant. It walks like an ant. It waves its front legs like antennae. Ants let it into the nest. Then it eats ants. It wears a disguise made of behavior. The best costume is one that gets you invited to dinner by dinner. I wrote trust issues in my notes and didn't know if I meant the ants or me. 19. The acid vomit. Vulture. It eats death. Rotten. Diseased. Days-old death. Its stomach acid is strong enough to dissolve anthrax, botulism, cholera. It sterilizes corpses by eating them. When threatened, it vomits. The vomit is so acidic it burns and so foul it deters. A defense and a weapon made from its last meal. I don't love it. I respect it. The world would be worse without things that can eat what nothing else should. 20. The whipped tongue. Pangolin.
Notice.
Just a tongue longer than its body, rooted in its pelvis. It tears open anthills with claws, then sends the tongue in 40 times a minute. The tongue is coated in sticky saliva. Ants and termites ride it back like a conveyor belt of protein. Its stomach has keratinous spines and ingested stones for grinding. It outsourced chewing to its abdomen. I think about that when my jaw gets tired. 21. The living net. Flamingo. It eats with its head upside down. The beak is a filter. It stamps its feet to stir muck, dips its head, and uses its tongue as a piston, pumping water in and out. Lamellae in the beak strain out algae, brine shrimp, diatoms. It's a face that became a sieve, pink from the food it filters. A bird that eats by building a marsh in its mouth. 22. The parasitic intruder, Cymathoa exigua. It swims into a fish's mouth, severs the tongue, and replaces it. It anchors itself to the stump and becomes the new tongue. It drinks blood, eats mucus, and lets the fish use it to hold prey. The fish lives, with a crustacean for a tongue. Parasitism as prosthetic. I couldn't decide if it was horror or symbiosis. Maybe both. Nature doesn't pick genres. 23. The decoy rear, glowworm. It hangs in caves and builds lines of sticky silk, fishing lines of mucus. Then it lights up its tail. Flies, drawn to the blue glow, fly up and get snared. The worm reels them in. The cave ceilings look like stars. It's beautiful until you remember every star is a trap. I visited a cave like that once. I didn't clap. It felt rude. 24. The bone eater, bearded vulture. It eats bones. 80% of its diet. It swallows them whole up to the size of a lamb's femur. If a bone is too big, it flies up and drops it on rocks to shatter it. Its stomach acid is pH 1. It dissolves bone. It's the only bird that does. It paints its feathers red with soil and dust on purpose. We don't know why. I like that we don't. Mystery as diet. 25. The jaw that shoots. Dragonfish. Its jaw is on a hinge that fires forward, off its face, to snap prey it can't reach. Its teeth are clear so they don't reflect the faint light down there. Its body makes its own red light, which most deep-sea things can't see. It spotlights prey in a color they're blind to. A sniper with an invisible laser. I felt seen and not seen reading about it. 26. The suction trap. Bladderwort. A plant that became a vacuum. It pumps water out of tiny bladders, making a vacuum inside. On each bladder is a trigger hair. A mosquito larva brushes it. The door opens, water rushes in, and the larva is sucked in a millisecond. The door shuts. Enzymes do the rest. A plant that outreacts animals. I stopped feeling bad for stepping on flowers. Some of them bite. 27. The web that you are. Spider that eats its web. It builds a web, waits, catches, eats.
Then it eats the web,
recycling the proteins to build the next one. Some spiders eat their web every night and rebuild by dawn. Your house is your pantry and your body. I think about that when I clean my room. I'm less efficient. 28. The acid pit. Pitcher plant. It makes a cup from a leaf and fills it with rain and enzymes. The rim is slick. Insects fall in, drown, and dissolve. Some pitchers have bats roost over them and eat the bat's feces. Others have tree shrews that lick nectar and poop in. Carnivory, then outsourcing. The plant became a toilet and a stomach. I don't know what to do with that information, so I wrote it down. 29. The tongue club, anteater. No teeth, again. A tube for a mouth. A tongue that can go in and out 160 times a minute, coated in sticky spit. It tears a hole in a termite mound, sends the tongue in, and counts on the soldiers to bite the tongue, which just gives it more to eat. Its stomach churns with sand and strong muscles. It eats 30,000 insects a day. I get tired chewing gum. 30. The foot stabber, secretary bird.
It hunts snakes by kicking them,
not pecking.
kicking.
The force is 5 times its body weight, delivered in 15 milliseconds. It stomps the head until the snake stops being a problem, then swallows it. Sometimes whole, sometimes in pieces. A bird that chose to be a boot. I walk softer in grass now. 31. The mutual mugging. Honey badger and honey guide. The bird finds a beehive and leads the badger to it with a specific call. The badger tears it open, immune to most bee stings. Both eat. The bird gets wax and larvae. The badger gets honey and grubs. Interspecies partnership built on sugar and violence. They don't like each other. They just work. I find that honest. 32. The whole face filter. Whale shark. It's the biggest fish. It doesn't chase. It opens a mouth 3 feet wide and swims. Water and everything in it goes in. It filters out plankton, krill, fish eggs on pads in its gills, then spits the water out. It's a bus that eats the air. Gentle because it doesn't have to be anything else. Size as strategy. 33. The throat pouch. Pelican. The pouch isn't a bag. It's a net. The lower beak bows out, the pouch expands, and it scoops gallons of water and fish. Then it points its beak down, drains the water, and tips its head back to swallow. On land, it can use the pouch to cool itself, pulsing it. A throat that became a bucket, a net, and an air conditioner. I admire multitasking. 34. The drill bit. Snail versus clam. Moon snails hunt other mollusks. They wrap the clam in their foot and drill. They secrete acid and rasp with a tongue of teeth until they bore a perfect hole. Then they eat the clam through the hole. It takes days. The shells left behind have that one neat, round scar. A murder hole with craftsmanship. I touched one on a beach and thought about patience. 35. The skin eater. Caecilian. It looks like a worm, but it's an amphibian. Some mothers grow a special layer of fat-rich skin and let their babies tear it off and eat it. Dermatophagy. The young have special teeth for it. She regrows it. They eat it again. Maternity as a buffet. I had to sit down after I read that. Then I wrote it down anyway. 36. The suction cup face. Remora. It doesn't hunt. It hitches. A modified dorsal fin became a suction cup. It sticks to sharks, whales, turtles. It eats scraps from their meals, parasites off their skin, feces. It rides and cleans. When the host eats, the remora unhooks, grabs what floats away, reattaches. Commensalism with a lunchbox. I respect the commute. 37. The sticky foot. Gecko, but for hunting. Geckos don't hunt with their feet, but their feet let them hunt anywhere. Toes with millions of CDU's van der Waals forces to stick to glass ceilings. They run up walls to catch moths that thought vertical was safe. They redefined up. I stopped thinking ceilings were safe either. 38. The wax moth of bees. Death's head hawk moth. It walks into beehives. It's coated in chemicals that smell like bees. It makes a sound like a queen. The bees let it pass. It drinks honey with a straw-like tongue while the hive works around it. It's a thief with the right accent. If the bees figure it out, they sting it to death. High risk, high sugar. I understand the gamble. 39. The leaf that snaps. Venus flytrap. It counts. Trigger hairs must be touched twice within 20 seconds, or 5 times slow. That way rain doesn't fool it. When it snaps, it makes a cage, then seals, then drowns the bug in enzymes. It takes a week to eat a fly. It photosynthesizes too, but in bad soil, it chose meat. A plant that set rules and follows them. I set fewer rules for myself. 40. The last one, me. I don't have a trap or a harpoon or a stomach outside my body. I have a notebook. I walk, I look, I write down the ways hunger shaped a tooth, a tongue, a lie, a light. I eat like everything else, messily usually, but I collect the other ways.
40 of them here.
And the thing I've learned after all of them, there is no normal way to eat. There's just whatever works until it doesn't. The velvet worm's glue will be useless if there are no crickets. The anglerfish's light means nothing if everyone evolves blind. The whale's net fails if the herring learn.